Greetings from Castle Goring, from Mickey and from me. Today we have a very mixed and hopefully lightweight enough to be entertaining bag. So, with Mickey's permission, her motty will plunge right in. Okie dokes. And the very first question is from Kate C. Greetings, Lady C and Mickey. Do you hear that? Kate C sends greetings for you. Thank you for your brilliant videos and books. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you. I have so many questions for you, and I know you may not have time to answer all of them. So I'll plunge right in. What do you think of Harry's wife accusing Victoria Beckham of leaking stories about her to the press? That's the first of her many questions. What do I think of the claims? Well, some people will blame anyone to cover up for their own bad behaviour. I think more than that, one need not say. I think that covers it pretty comprehensively, because really the reality is it's farcical. I mean, why would Victoria Beckham need to leak stories about Harry's wife? It's just ridiculous. I'm not saying that she may not have said something idly. People do. But I don't think anybody needs to leak any stories about Harry's wife, because she is the prime leaker. In fact, she is the reservoir whence everything flows. So the next one is, I heard that Sunshine Sachs was behind the Vax Live Concert. Is that true? My understanding is that yes, it is true, they are one of the main organisers, and they have married various clans together, and that in fact my understanding is that as soon as the subject was broached to a certain couple, she reached out to make sure that she and he would be the chairman of the occasion. And you know, there is a synchronicity to all of this, and it actually makes sense if you stop to think of it. America doesn't have royalty, and America now has a low-grade ersatz couple that have links to a royal family. The fact that the husband is basically a pathetic, déclassé, rather sad creature doesn't alter the fact that he is genuinely royal. And the fact that he's married this rather tacky little creature doesn't alter the fact that she is royalty. And she has understood, as have Sunshine Sachs, that there is a gap in the market and that they can fill it. And I've got news for you. Had she played her cards more cleverly and less treacherously, she would have had a home run from the word go. Had she done things decently, neatly, and cleanly, she would have been able to have turned herself into the resident royal for the whole of the world in America. You know, the go-to royal for anything international. So the rest of the royal family would have Britain and the Commonwealth, and she and the husband would have the world. Had they behaved decently, this would have happened. The fact that they have behaved as badly as they have, and that they have done things as nastily as they have, has damaged the brand. But persistence might yet win the day. And you know, Sunshine Sachs has a very good track record of presenting sows as silk purses. And they're not overly fussy where the money comes from. For instance, when my ex-boyfriend David Koch married his wife Julia, who was, I think, an assistant or some such thing at Adolfo, and, you know, she was a humble girl from, I think, a Midwestern background. And David had always had social ambitions. And I think this is one of the reasons why he wanted me, because he used to say that I was the most outrageously charming person he had ever met, which he meant as a compliment. And he knew that I knew an awful lot of people socially. And I suppose I was what you would have called well connected. And he had a lot of money, but he had no real social connections. He certainly had no social graces. But he had social ambitions. And he ultimately realized them in the most splendid way, not only for himself, but for the girl whom he married. I've never met her. I've heard very mixed reports about her. I have had one sort of, I wouldn't even say interchange with her, so much as there has been one incident that should have come to fruition that did not come to fruition. I think partly because she's most likely, well, you know, sometimes women are threatened by their men's pasts, which is really ridiculous because I'm the one who didn't want to marry him. And she's the one who wanted to and did, and I'm the one who didn't want to and didn't. And in any event, I went years before her. So the whole thing was ludicrous. But the point I'm making is, I gather she is a bit of a sowser, and I gather that she has been presented as a silk purse by Sunshine Sachs. And, you know, David had all the money in the world to throw at making himself and his wife into social luminaries, and he succeeded to a large extent. What is interesting to me is that Sunshine Sachs, which is basically very, very politically left, were very happy to take David's money. And David became increasingly right-wing with the passage of the years. And by the time he was a client of Sunshine Sachs, he was really right of Genghis Khan. So it's really quite interesting to see how, as far as Sunshine Sachs are concerned, they will beat the left-wing drum until bankers are involved. And as soon as those greenbacks show their deliciously beautiful faces, they say, come on, give me, give me, give me, and are very happy to put anything and anyone on the map. So, next question. Why did Harry's wife not show up for the concert? Well, I dare say she was sensible to not show up for the concert. She can use the fact that the baby is approaching the stage at which it requires birth as a valid excuse, at least where certain people are concerned. she also understands that a bit of mystery might be a good thing. And I think she also is keeping herself out of the limelight because she has a trick or two up her sleeve. And she has also been informed that she is not the popular one, that he is the popular one, and that basically nobody really wants to see her or know her or have anything to do with her, that he's the one they want to. So it's a matter of practical convenience that are allied with all sorts of other things. It's a good game plan for her to have not shown her face. Also, she and Sunshine Sachs know a bit of mystery goes a very long way, and they certainly know that she has been overexposed, and they certainly know that several of their and her recent ploys have backfired. So maybe they're learning the lesson of discretion. As Sir John Falstaff said, the better part of valour is discretion. So, why did the media report that Harry got a standing ovation when it was a standing concert? Oh, my dear, you are absolutely wonderful. You are so to the point. I just love it. Because the media were told that Harry got a standing ovation, and the media who are boosting Harry and his wife, and who Sunshine Sachs has very firmly in their pockets, they understand that Sunshine Sachs is sufficiently powerful that if they don't play ball and report what Sunshine Sachs wants them to report, and to heck with the truth. I mean, what's the truth? The truth is an inconvenience to be overridden at every point where these people are concerned. So that's why the media reported it. It's by and large the publications and the entities that Sunshine Sachs has in their pocket are cut and paste merchants. They provide the copy, they being Sunshine Sachs, and they, the media, cut and paste the copy and faithfully report it. It is a perfectly hackneyed custom. Bad hacks do not hack copy badly. They hack copy well. They copy, and that's what makes them faithful servants of good propagandists. It's as simple as that. Also, of course, it boosts Harry's prestige for people to believe that he got a standing ovation. Well, he got a standing ovation from a standing audience. Their only alternative was to sit down, and they couldn't sit down because there wouldn't have been enough space for them to sit down. So the whole thing is yet another preposterous lie fed to a gullible public who are supposed to swallow the lies, or to put it another way, as the, shall we say, manure clatters down their throats, they are supposed to say, "Oh, chocolate ice cream, delicious chocolate ice cream." Crazy. Okay, so to continue, surely the other performers would have received equal, if not greater, applause. Well, we need to wait until this week Sunday evening to see if you are looking at the concert. I'm not. I'm not interested in it. I think it's a very worthy cause, by the way. I think it's a worthy cause. I think it's overlaid with very odious political uh, sort of hints and comments that I think actually undermine the basic positivity of the enterprise. But in principle, I am in favour of the cause. So I'm not going to put down the cause, you know. Why disregard the message just because the messenger maybe has BO? I don't think so, you know. You read the message and you hopefully hose down the messenger. So we'll have to wait and see. Or maybe they will dumb down the applause. I don't really know, and quite frankly, I couldn't care less. So let's continue with this series of questions. Why was that not reported on? Well, it wasn't reported on, I would imagine, because possibly the programme hasn't been seen by the media yet, and B, if it has been seen, they are cutting and pasting and reporting what they are told to do. You know, when you are selling your soul, you are obliged to sup with the devil and dish up for the devil what the devil requires you to dish up, and then consume it and do it willingly. That's what goes along with selling your soul. So they want to know, is this a Sunshine Sachs PR stunt again? Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me tell you, they are very good at what they do, and they do it very well. They put Julia Koch on the map. They made her into one of the leading New York socialites. I think she was the chairman or vice chairman or something, even at the Met Gala, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's, if you have enough money in America, you can buy pretty much anything. Not everywhere, because old classical circles usually do not have for sale signs out. But otherwise, the arrivists, I mean, when I go to New York now, I mean, I stay with my old world friends and I mix with them and I meet them. But, you know, I am aware that when I pick up the newspapers and read social columns, it's nobody of any background anymore. It's all people who have bought their way in. Never used to be like that. I mean, there was always a sort of marriage, so to speak, between breeding and money, but it wasn't quite as frank as it is now. And nowadays, there's no pretense, you know. As long as you have the money to spend, you're going to be written about as if you are somebody noteworthy. And I suppose you are noteworthy because you're rich and you're spending the money and you're buying yourself attention. So I suppose you are noteworthy. It's just that you're not noteworthy for the really important things, most of which can't be bought with money. So, but yes, to answer it, it is another Sunshine Sachs PR stunt. And this person signs, yours faithfully, a Zimbabwean in London. Well, greetings from a Jamaican in London. Well, actually not in London, at Castle Goring. But Sherry Davidson says, Lady C, Harry told the crowd at the Vax Live concert to look beyond ourselves with empathy and compassion. Oh, God, I tell you, the insensitivity of it all. Hypocrite. But anyway, he might have added, but it's perfectly okay to dump on your family. My dear, yes, he might have added it. And he might actually have added that not only is it okay to dump on your family, but it is, in his view, commendable, because it shows that you are loyal to a disloyal hubby. Let's put it that way. What gets me with Harry and the wife is the complete ignorance and the total blindness and the completely tone-deaf attitude to, if they are saying something, they should embody it. I mean, these are people who speak about compassion and empathy, and they show no compassion to either of their families. I don't know. I seem to remember, I heard somewhere, maybe I'm awfully dumb and I've got this wrong, but I seem to remember that one of the old pearls of wisdom is that charity starts at home. And that before you trash your family, you should be nice to them. And if you can't be nice to them, you should try to be nice about them. And if you can't be nice about them, certainly while they're living, you keep your wretched claps shut. Honestly. We've all got the message. It's don't do as I do, do as I say. And they rarely think that people are impressed. Well, maybe the people who Sunshine Sachs is paying are impressed, although I doubt it. I think the only people who are impressed are the idiots, the dolts, the brain-dead stupidities who read Vanity Fair, People magazine, Harper's, etc. But let us see what happens, because, there is an irrefutable law of physics. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And when people are delivering the truth and delivering genuine decency instead of, oh, I'm so wonderful decency, people respond positively. And when they are as, oh, I'm so wonderful, oh, I'm just the most marvelous person on earth, and you've got to do what I say, not what I do, because I'm so special I don't have to do what I tell you to do, because I'm a very special person. It antagonizes people, and all the money in the world ultimately can't buy the approbation of people of integrity who have a brain in their head. So, Robert Traino says, I agree there should be no difference in use between the term coloured people and persons of colour. At first glance, it makes no sense. This is an issue mainly in America, where the use of the descriptor coloured people is felt by some to be a pejorative term, harkening back to the days of the Old South and slavery and the Reconstruction period. For that reason, most African Americans prefer the term Black or African American. That being said, why then does one of your books sport the title People of Color and the Royals? Thank you very much. I love your website. Well, my book is entitled People of Color and the Royals because I have no axe to grind one way or the other. And if I can be polite and I can be accommodating and it's not going to cost me anything, I am very happy to be accommodating and respectful of people's wishes, even when those wishes are idiotic, or even when I think those wishes are based upon fallacies, or even when I think those wishes are counterproductive. As long as they're not going to do harm, I am very happy to go along with them. I have to say, when I was writing the book, I had to struggle on occasion to avoid using correct grammatical terms. So the quality of the descriptions at times was really not as I would have liked it to be, because I was limited as to the descriptions I could use, because I was very aware of the fact that I was traversing a political minefield, well, certainly a sociological minefield, and I did not want to cause offense to anyone. That's why I used that title. I mean, it would have been really rather counterproductive, you must admit, for me to have used a title that was going to get people's backs up. But the question I was asked the last time was a very simple one. Is there any difference in meaning between people of color and colored people? And again, the answer is no, because in the English language they both mean exactly the same thing. And the fact that some people feel that colored harkens back to an age and a time when it was pejorative doesn't alter the fact that the NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Coloured People, and it hasn't changed its name. And on that note, I will move on to the next question. Anita99 says, thank you for your entertaining and informative videos, Lady C. I'm glad you like them, my dear. I have noticed on the IMDb site, whatever that is, that the Oprah with Meg and Harry interview has quite a high score rating. So, being intrigued as to why this could be, I read some of the reviews. It seems that the reviews fall into two camps. The first camp gives the rating of 1 out of 10, as they say. It is just a very biased hatchet job on the royal family, while the other camp, who I can only think are illiterate by their bad spelling, etc., gives it a rating of 10 out of 10 and says it is a magnificent piece of TV history. Well, it's certainly a piece of TV history, but magnificent is something else again. So, to resume, I was wondering if perhaps some of your 100,000 followers might also like to give it a rating. Laugh out loud. That's very entertaining, my dear. Very droll of you. I'm not going to ask anybody to rate anything. if people wish to rate something of their own accord, I think good on them. That's well within their right. If it makes them involved and makes them feel involved and they want to be engaged, I think that's wonderful. I'm all for engagement as long as you are willing and able to engage. And you don't have to agree with me. Nobody has to agree with me. It's perfectly okay to disagree with me. And I don't mind if people actually wish to rate that rather odious work of fiction that passed itself off as an interview. If they wish to rate it highly, fine. But I think you've hit the nail upon the head, that the average person who gave it a positive rating, according to you, they couldn't spell? Well, I think we've already come to the conclusion that most of Harry and his wife's admirers are either ignorant or then they have some other axe to grind. Because as we know from the tens of thousands of comments that appear on this program, that thinking people of colour all over the world have seen through them and don't like the act. So it's got nothing to do with race, it's got everything to do with character, and I would suggest stupidity. You know, an awful lot of people want to believe in fairy tales. And good on them. Sunshine Sachs earns very good money. They're not cheap. They come at a high price. So they're earning their money by creating fantasies. And if people wish to buy into them, what can I say? You know, it's not in my place to actually wish to stop people from buying a lie. It's a free country. Hopefully this is still a free world. And people let them buy the lie if they want to. I think it's regrettable because I think the truth sets you free. However, there are many people in this world who don't want the truth. They don't want facts. What they want is comforting fiction. John Fleming says, Lady C, what do you make of Dame Hilary Mantel's comments that the royal family is facing the end game and won't outlast William as king? Seems a rather odd statement to make. Mr. Fleming, I couldn't agree with you more, except that Hilary Mantel is prone to odd statements. Hilary Mantel is actually very knowledgeable about the period that she writes upon. I personally think that she is actually not a good writer. I mean, I would be embarrassed to have as a second draft what she publishes as a final draft. But I know I'm not alone in that sentiment. I know there are many people, writers and publishers, who agree with me that she is actually not a good writer, but she's very knowledgeable on her subject, and she is capable and she's flavorful. And so she has been very successful and also anti-royal, at least in terms of posture. She is sufficiently left-wing in terms of her pronouncements and posturings to have been embraced by all segments of the media. because the right-wing segments of the media have embraced her, not because of her political posturings, but because they don't want to say, the Empress has no clothes on. She's not a great writer. She actually is a very knowledgeable academician where her subject is concerned, but she's not a good writer. They don't want to say that because it's not going to play well for them. They are going to open themselves up to criticism. We live in a world where people are terrified of offending and they're terrified of criticism. Well, I don't mind who I offend as long as I am not offending people gratuitously. If I'm offending them purposely, and by that I mean I don't set out to offend them, but I certainly set out to articulate my position clearly, and if it offends them, so be it. I couldn't care less. That is what people of character and integrity should be about. Sadly, it's not. We live in a world where everybody is terrified of offending because nobody wants to stand up and take brickbats. Well, I don't like brickbats, but I am certainly happy to stand up for what I believe in, and if I receive brickbats, so be it. But as for the rest of the media, in Britain, Hilary Mantel has achieved greater success than she would have done 30 years ago, because nowadays it is the mark of Cain, representative of the old order, to be of the new order, which is what Hilary Mantel is a license to print what you want, say what you want, do what you want, and if you do it obscurely enough and fashionably enough, you will be praised to the sky. If you are a good writer, a good traditional writer, a good writer being somebody who takes the time to convey the thought so succinctly and accurately that the reader doesn't have to decipher it, but simply absorb it, that is now regarded as bad writing. I mean, you couldn't make all of this up. As for her comment about the monarchy not surviving, well, Hilary Mantel may not know it, but there was talk of Queen Victoria being shoved off the throne. That was in the 1840s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. So it's nothing new. It's nothing new, and I would venture to say that, in fact, the monarchy is more popular than ever. And I would also make the point that this whole Markle debacle has actually increased the popularity of the monarchy, because the average Britisher has a sense of fair play that seems to be innate. They also have a sense of decency and humanity. They don't care that you have on a $3,000 dress. They only care that you are a decent person ultimately. And, we as a nation are very compassionate. That's why charities do so well in this country. And any appeal raises money from the tens of millions of people who really don't have much to give. That doesn't happen in other countries I've lived in. It certainly doesn't happen in France, and it certainly doesn't happen in America. Not the way I see it now. I remember when I was young and in America and the March of Dimes, yes, it used to happen then. But I gather it doesn't happen now because, of course, the merchants have taken over and they are merchandising even charity. And so it's turned people off in America. But this has not happened in England. So I think Hilary Mantel is a little bit out of kilter with what is really going on in this country. Rockstop22 says, Dearest Lady C, I absolutely adore you. Thank you. Would you consider coming to Canada to be our Prime Minister? We need a new one, and you would be perfect if you don't want to consider that position. Perhaps you could be our new Governor General. That position is wide open right now, too. My dear, you know, I do have an idea of the fact that many Canadians do not approve of the conduct of their Prime Minister, who, it is remarkable, is a dead ringer for Fidel Castro. And of course, his mother did have an affair with Fidel Castro. Now, some people say she had an affair with Fidel Castro after he was born. Whenever she had an affair with him, there is little, if any, doubt that she did have an affair with him. And it is quite extraordinary that Justin Trudeau is a latter-day version physically, and some people would say in some of his political sentiments, for Fidel Castro, who some people believe is his natural father. Well, I neither know nor care, and it's a matter of complete indifference to me who his father is or was. I do know that he is a little bit of a poseur. I know people who know him, and he is, you know, one of those sort of wet behind the ears sort of champagne socialists who is going to be a do-gooder until he breaks the bank, and is so in love with the approbation of his fellow woke pretenders, let's say, that he can't see that being a good leader is not about soft words and sweet smiles and gentle sentiments. It is about productive and positive results. My dear, it's sweet of you to want me to be your Prime Minister. I'm not even a Canadian citizen, although one of my sisters is a Canadian citizen, and two of her children are Canadian citizens. And she absolutely loved Canada. And I have to say, I used to spend maybe a week a month there in the late 60s, early 70s. And, you know, I loved Canada because Canada, I thought, had the best of both the United States and England. And I think it's a great shame to hear that Fidel Castro's look-alike is actually doing to Canada what Fidel did to Cuba. However, maybe it goes with the resemblance. As for being your Governor General, sweet of you, thanks, but no thanks. So at this point, I will say thank you very much. Please keep the questions coming in the comments section. And if you have enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, share, press the notification bell. And again, thank you very much. Bye-bye.